Here is a walk-around video of a 1962 Jaguar E-Type Roadster 3.8 liter flat floor, finished in its original and, in my opinion, most desirable color combination of opalescent gunmetal gray with red interior. We ordered a heritage certificate and it showed that this is how the car came. It's a lifelong California car. It was sold new in early of 1962 in Monterey. It was shipped to the Jaguar dealer in Monterey, California, and it's lived in the Central Valley the majority of its life. Lou, the owner of the car, has owned this car for almost 50 years now. This paint job is actually 20 years old, but still is in phenomenal condition. It does have a couple of little war wounds, but nothing that detracts from the overall feel of the car. When he was having the soft top put on, the upholsterer put a ding right there. I guess he dropped the frame and it landed and put a ding on it there. And then his wife, when she got out of their other car one time, hit the door and put a little scratch right there. There's a couple of other very, very minor dings, but apart from that, that's it. The chrome is as old as the paint, but the car has always been garaged, so the chrome is excellent. The rubber around the chrome, excellent. Everything is almost concours, but not quite, at least on the body. I think if you corrected those paint flaws, then it would be. The door gaps are great. Remember, this is 20-year-old paint, so it's great to have older paint on an E-Type because the body is really the scariest part of a car. Being a monocoque, a unibody, if there's any rust in the sills, you're in trouble because this is one of the major structural parts of the entire car. So the fact that this is 20-year-old paint and there isn't a bubble in the car, that tells you something. The glass, I believe, is triplex, if my memory serves me right. Oh, I can't see it. It looks new, does the glass? And Lou did mention that he did get the windshield replaced. We have a little triplex logos on the headlights here. And Lucas headlights. I don't know if that's a positive or not, but they're original or original style. It's a great view from the front. The small nose of the early E-Types, Series 1s, the small air intake. I just love that. And of course the covered headlights. The wire wheels been recently replaced when the tires were replaced. It's got newer Pirellis with virtually no miles on them and new chrome wire wheels. And if you're going to be driving this car down the freeway or going around corners fast, it's very good to know that you've got fresh wire wheels. The whole drivetrain has been rebuilt in the last 3 years. Engine, transmission, and rear end. And then of course all the ancillaries with that. That means shock absorbers, bushings, etc. I really like this single radar style mirror. I think that's so cool. And we'll do a look under the hood next. Okay, the hood is now, the bonnet hood. I'm such an American now. I've lived here 30 years and now even on a Jag I say hood. Whoops. My mum would be shocked. But the bonnet's open and we can have a look under the engine bay. The engine bay is spectacular. The person that did all the work polished every component. Intake manifold, see the single 1, 2, 3, the single runners, early 3.8 intake manifold. Totally correct. Triple SU carburetors with new throttle shafts. So they've been properly rebuilt. They just didn't get kitted. They got new shafts. So you know those are good for a long time to come. Windshield wiper bottle correct. And there's the original data plate. It's not a reproduction, it's the original one. And then if you look at the VIN there, I mean the engine number, right there. Come over here, same number. And then buried down inside there is the block casting block number, and it matches too. One of the things Lou did when he had this rebuilt, he had sensible upgrades done. If you look down here, you can see Lucas high torque starter motor. See the red where it says Lucas? This thing cranks over like nobody's business. Look down here, spin-on oil filter, way better than the old canisters that just pours oil all over you. The spin-ons are the way to go. And then if you look down there, an electronic distributor. Modern relay for the fan, Bosch relay. Aluminium radiator with a high flow fan. The original fan was a 2-bladed fan, I believe. I mean, come on. Those things overheated in 70-degree weather, let alone 80 or 90-degree weather. Let's come over this side. This is one of my favorite things, is generators are terrible for creating electricity at idle. Alternators are brilliant. This is an alternator disguised as a factory original generator. Inside there is a, I believe, 55 amp alternator, and that does all your charging. I mean, even at idle, it's charging. So it'll take care of that electric fan, the stereo, the electronic ignition, whatever else you might want to put in it. Fully rebuilt suspension, upgraded to Coney shocks. This E-Type handles phenomenally well. And of course, porcelain exhaust manifolds. Isn't that beautiful? All new hydraulics. Car stops great. Look at the drain valve of the engine block for coolant. It's just, everything's just nice. Done, finished. All the way down to the vintage Champion spark plug caps. All new though. And that coil right there, it's not a factory coil. That's a high voltage coil to deal with the electronic ignition, so you get a strong spark. All right, let's have a look at the interior. Okay, now for a shot of the interior. Interior has virtually no miles on it. Only just got finished recently. I don't know if we can pull the carpet up. We might not be able to, but underneath there's the factory matting, and then underneath that there's the stick-on. The generic name would be, I guess, Dynomat. All up here to stop heat getting in there, because these things will cook your feet if you don't have them properly insulated. So it's got the stick-on heat and sound insulation all the way through, then the factory padding, and then the factory carpet. Center console, isn't that amazing? 1961, 62, and 63 had this fabulous aluminium center console. It really brings the interior up. It gives it that exotic classic feeling, like a vintage Ferrari or something. It doesn't look so mass-produced. I love the Series 1 switches. This has a modern stereo in it, and I believe it has auxiliary or Bluetooth. I'm not exactly sure, but it's a nice system. It sounds great. There it goes on retro sound. And there's the music going. The steering wheel is original. So one of the few original Well, I believe all the gauges are original, just cleaned up and rebuilt. Steering wheel's original. Let me turn that radio off. It's a little irritating. There we go. The shifter knob was on it. It's been on it for years and years and years. It's not original, but it's cool. It's walnut. It's got the growler on it. Easy fix if you want it stock, but I really like it. It feels good. The seats were all properly reupholstered correctly. The leather is soft, no wrinkles, just fresh as can be. Seat belts, aftermarket, modern aircraft style, really easy to pop on and off. Again, virtually new. I live by the airport, so you'll hear an airplane every now and then. Door panels, this was catching right here. I think it's been shimmed since then. It's not catching anymore, but the damage was done. I guess you could touch that up, but that's the one flaw on the interior that I noticed. Perfect. Chrome, perfect. Look how soft and supple the window scraper is. No cracks, just beautiful. Modern speakers in those speaker holes, but vintage speaker covers, really cool. And again, this is a flat floor car, and people say, oh, you can't drive a flat floor car if you've got big feet. Well, I have size 13 feet, and I have no problem shifting. My feet don't get caught up on anything when I shift. I have a 63 with the dished floors, and I really don't see the difference. I mean, I know they drop it down a couple of inches or inch and a half or whatever it is, but it doesn't make a difference really. So there's the interior. I'm going to do a cold startup on the 1962 flat floor E-Type. So ignition on, fuel pump's humming. We can see the light for the brake, the handbrake's on. And we have no temperature, no oil pressure, gas is coming up. This is a radio. Is it here or is it there? It's actually a nice radio, not that you really use it much. And there we go. We got some choke. She's fired up. Handbrake off. Reverse gear. And there we go, we're pulling out. Close the garage door. Okay, the oil pressure's building up. And we'll go for a drive. If I can find reverse again. Okay, we bring the choke down a little bit, so it gets down to about 1500. There we go. Now this has got the original Moss gearbox, so it has no synchro in first gear. Can you hear that? That's the non-synchro first gear. As soon as we get into second gear, a lot smoother, a lot quieter. Bringing the choke off and the idle's coming down. I'm still about quarter choke right now. And here we go. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have given it. There we go. A little bit more choke. There she goes. All right, we're going to take it on the freeway and see how she runs on the freeway. Second gear. 3 grand, shift to third. Give it a little bit of gas. and now we're in 4th gear, 2500 RPM, 55 miles an hour, and we're joining the freeway now. One hand, no shake, 65 miles an hour, around there. Real good oil pressure. Come over here, look at the oil pressure. Got really good oil pressure. Temperatures come up now. Bit of gas on it here. Here we go. Okay, we're at the lights here. Turn signals work. It's idling at about 700 RPM. Still good oil pressure, idle. This is braking oil. The car has still got its braking oil. It's a fresh engine. So I'm trying to keep it below 3,500 initially. This is about where she runs. She runs just around here. Okay, here we go again. First gear, second gear. And I'm shifting at 3 grand. I haven't revved her up that high. I just don't want to do any damage, premature wear to the engine really. First gear. On synchro again. Second. Third gear. Let's get on it a little bit here, just a little bit. that's disguised as a generator, and it's just showing it charging right there. I mean, it's fully charged, so. Okay, I've got the E-Type on some ramps. Now it's time to get underneath it and look at the oily bits. Well, on this car, they're not really oily, but normally you'd say the oily bits. Now looking underneath here, they often, when they start to rust, they bubble right along this seam right here and around that drain hole right there. Excellent. I mean, remember, this is 20 some years old, 20 years old. The paint, still good. Can you actually see my reflection here? Okay, as we come down, there's the rear end, the pumpkin. It's painted in its correct shade of orange. You can see the springs and shocks look newer. Look new, actually. It's all rebuilt. Hub bearing, all nice and clean. When they get old, this gets caked in oil around here because you grease them right here, and then over the years, oil squirts out here. It gets all caked up and nasty looking. Same here too. But look, my finger's up, well, a little bit, but nice and clean. Whoops, we'll get underneath here. Look at that. You can tell the rear end's rebuilt because it's not wet through right here. Most E-Types is this all wet along here. That front seal goes out. This is excellent. Let's see if we can see in here at the calipers. You see the calipers are fresh, brake hose. Now, the underside of this is not concours. It's undersealed, which isn't a bad thing. But I mean, if you're gonna make this a 100-point car, you're gonna have to take this off and you're gonna have to paint it. But I mean, predominantly, I think this is just a really good driver's car. Coming down here, we have a rebuilt gearbox. This was taken to a specialist in Idaho who rebuilt this. It's the original Moss box, completely rebuilt. It actually works pretty good. Moss boxes, yeah, but when they're rebuilt, they're not bad. Obviously, new slave cylinder. So it's got a new clutch, engine. Look at this sump. Not a drop of oil on it. Look at that. Nice and dry. Of course, fresh engine. It better be, right? Come along here. See the electric cooling fans. The suspension. All fresh. Nice bushings. See the bushings? Just nice and fresh. Everything cotter pinned off correctly. There's cotter pins here. Nylox. And see this? New brake calipers. Well, maybe not the calipers, but the actual pistons. These are probably original, just being cleaned, and then the pistons have been replaced. The brake line looks minty. Look at the low ball joint. It's beautiful. It's absolutely as new. Come along here. This part right here, is always crunched. It just takes so much damage. This is the basically the radiator cradle, I would say. It holds the hood of the bonnet. Sorry, it holds the bonnet and the radiator in place. This is usually trashed. This is in really good shape. I mean, I've been playing around with E-Types back when they were $15,000, $20,000 cars, and I remember how worn out they were back then. Just always tired and worn out. But this, so many of them are like this nowadays. There's your timing box. Just beautiful cars. Probably better than they were when they were new. We have stainless steel here. This part of the exhaust is stainless steel. These downpipes all the way to here. This isn't stainless steel, but stainless to here. And let's see, let's get out from underneath it. You can see the rockers. There we go. Well, the sills. Look how excellent they are. Just excellent. There goes one of those airplanes again I mentioned. We'll work our way along here. Now this I'm not so impressed with. That is a seatbelt anchor point. I wouldn't have put that there personally, but I don't know if they even came with seatbelts in 62. So let's have a look at the other side. Okay, and now we're on the other side. See seatbelt anchor points there on that one. It's just in a little bit more. Just lovely. No rust. Again, like I said, older paint job. If there was an issue, we would be seeing it. And again, nice and solid. Nice and crisp lines here. Very nice. Okay, and that concludes the E-Type video.